What up, YouTube? Here with Talk Wrestling, episode number 4. On this episode, I'm going to be talking about the product from both AEW and WWE heading into the pay-per-view events this Sunday. AEW is presenting All Out in Chicago, Illinois, and WWE is going to be presenting Clash at the Castle, their first pay-per-view event at a stadium over there in the UK, in Cardiff, Wales to be exact. And I'm going to be giving y'all my predictions on every matchup on both events. And without any further ado, let's get to this episode of Talk Wrestling. I'm going to be talking about AEW and what they got going on as of late first. All Out, it could have been built up better in my opinion. They got, AEW only has 4 to 5 pay-per-view events. Well, now they got ROH under their banner, so they have 6, 7, 8 pay-per-view events per year. But AEW All Out is one of the original pay-per-views, and this year's All Out is looking like, man, they could have did a better job, in my opinion, at building up this pay-per-view event, especially with the main event. We got CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the undisputed AEW World Title as a main event. Obviously, this event's going to be in Chicago. Chicago is like the second home for AEW. They have Forbidden Door in Chicago earlier this year. Actually, not too long ago. It was only 3 months ago that AEW and New Japan collabed for Forbidden Door, and that was in Chicago. And last year's All Out was also in Chicago, so this is their second year in a row that All Out is going to be in Chicago. And they brought back CM Punk, who won the world title at Double or Nothing, and that's like AEW's WrestleMania. And CM Punk defeated Heyman Adam Page to become AEW World Champion. Then he had to vacate the title because he had hurt his foot, and he came back on AEW TV 3 weeks ago, I think. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong when it comes to the time slot on when CM Punk made his return to AEW Dynamite. But he came back, and then him and Jon Moxley, who filled in his spot as the interim AEW World Champion. Obviously, that was the whole thing at Forbidden Door between Moxley and Tanahashi when they had their match for the AEW Interim World Title, was that whenever CM Punk was ready to compete again, that's when they'll unify the world titles to see who's going to be the undisputed AEW World Champion. Well, instead of having the undisputed title match on All Out like we expected, Tony Khan pulled a fast one on us and had CM Punk face Jon Moxley on the episode of Dynamite. Actually, last week was CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the undisputed AEW World Title, and we all as wrestling fans got to witness the biggest squash match of the year. It had me thinking, what was the point of CM Punk coming back if he was going to get squashed? That was like AEW's version of the finger poke of doom with Kevin Nash and Hogan in WCW way back then. And Jon Moxley, he squashed Punk in less than 3 minutes. They had a cool back and forth here and there, and then when Punk delivered a head kick, I guess the weight collapsed on his bad foot, and that's obviously a kayfabe because it was announced on yesterday's episode of Dynamite that CM Punk will be facing Jon Moxley in a rematch for the undisputed AEW title. After his foot gave out on him, Jon Moxley hit repeated elbows, hit 2 paradigm shifts, and became the undisputed AEW World Champion. And then if y'all tapped into the Dynamite episode last night, y'all saw Jon Moxley cut his promo. Jon Moxley, he's one of the best workers in pro wrestling right now. He could talk and he could go in the ring. And he laid out an open challenge to anybody in the back to step up to face him for the undisputed AEW World Title at All Out, because obviously he stormed through Punk like it was nothing. But then CM Punk, I don't know, I don't know, maybe hardcore wrestling fans might insult me for not knowing who who that was that picked up the contract for Punk and slapped Punk in the face and got him fired up to challenge Jon Moxley at All Out. I thought that was Jerry Lynn. I'm not sure if that was, but that's who coached CM Punk to become a professional wrestler. Well, I guess that's their selling point. CM Punk looked like he was ready to retire after that disappointing match versus Jon Moxley on last week's Dynamite. Then his mans came out and got him fired up to challenge Jon Moxley at All Out. So hopefully they have a good match at All Out. Obviously that's gonna be the main event, but I thought it was booked wrong. I think the only way they could make up for this is if they have CM Punk turn heel. It's gonna be hard for CM Punk to get jeered in Chicago, that being his hometown. I think if he cheats to win the AEW Undisputed World Title versus Jon Moxley, I think that's a way to save the bad booking leading into All Out's main event. I thought there could have been a better way of this match being led up to All Out, but it is what it is though. That's how I think AEW All Out's main event should close out, with CM Punk picking up a dirty win to become the undisputed AEW World Champion. CM Punk, I think it's like that kind of heelish character naturally oozes out of CM Punk, and I think since he came back to professional wrestling, he's been a babyface, and he's beloved by almost all wrestling fans, unless they don't like CM Punk for whatever reason. But through majority fans, like within the majority of wrestling fans, people tend to be fans of CM Punk, and I think he's done some of his best work as a heel, and I think it would be refreshing to see CM Punk have a heel run once again. And to get that momentum going for him, I think it's to have him win the world title and see how he does as a heel world champion. And he's obviously the top draw when it comes to AEW, so it wouldn't be a bad move for Tony Khan and AEW to put the belt back on CM Punk. So I'm predicting that CM Punk will win at All Out, and I think it's going to be in a controversial fashion, but we'll see though. But that's my predictions, and that's how I think it should be booked when it comes to the main event for All Out. Then the next match, I think this has been built up proper. I think this got the strongest lead up heading into All Out, and that's Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson made his return to AEW after he suffered an injury at Double or Nothing in the Anarchy in the Arena match between BCC and the JAS. That was a great match. That was, I think, the best matchup that we saw at Double or Nothing, and Bryan Danielson, in his returning match, he lost to Daniel Garcia, where Daniel Garcia had him in the sharpshooter, and Bryan Danielson passed out. And I was surprised because, Daniel Garcia is a young talent, up-and-coming guy who's never been a world champion, but he's a hell of a wrestler. And he's been showing that ever since AEW has given them more of a spotlight. And him and Bryan Danielson had a great match. And they pulled off a Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, where instead of the veteran having the rookie pass out, it was the other way around, and that gave a great momentum towards Daniel Garcia, and that gave him some credibility. And then they had a best out of three match a few weeks ago on Dynamite, where Bryan Danielson won, and then this is where the confliction between Daniel Garcia and Chris Jericho came into play, and Daniel Garcia's got a major part to do in this rivalry between Jericho and Bryan Danielson, because Daniel Garcia let it be known that Bryan Danielson is one of his idols, one of his heroes. He looks up to him stylistically as a pro wrestler, and they've gained each other's respect through having these matchups in the past few weeks. And then after their best out of three falls match, they shook hands, showed signs of respect to one another, and then Jericho came out of nowhere when he was providing commentary for that match, and he sneak attacked Bryan Danielson, and then Daniel Garcia saved Danielson from getting the beats from Jericho, and then Jericho looked at him like, oh, you got me messed up. That's how Jericho looked at Garcia. And then he came out next week on Dynamite, and he wanted Garcia to apologize to him. And from the outside looking in, it looks, this confliction between Daniel Garcia, where Daniel Garcia has to choose between his new mentor and new hero, Chris Jericho, who brought him into the Jericho Appreciation Society, or does he, align himself with Bryan Danielson, his longtime idol, and somebody who he has great respect for after all the battles that they went through. So I think this is a pretty cool storyline that they got going on. And if y'all saw on the last episode of Dynamite, Daniel Garcia told Chris Jericho that he seemed unappreciative. He's supposed to stay on JAS's side, and he's gonna show his allegiance, his loyalty towards Chris Jericho and his stable. And Jericho was like, okay, that's cool. And y'all saw after Bryan Danielson defeated Jake Hager on Dynamite, Jericho was gonna attack Bryan Danielson, who was ambushed by 2.0 Angelo Parker and Matt Menard, and then BCC came out for the save, and then Bryan Danielson was still left in the ring, laid out, and then that's when Jericho, like a hyena, snuck up and was gonna hit Danielson with a steel chair. And then here comes Daniel Garcia once again saving Bryan Danielson, and now we'll see how this plays out at All Out. But I think Bryan Danielson is going to win at All Out, and I think Daniel Garcia is going to have a part in that. And who knows, Daniel Garcia might be the next member to join Blackpool Combat Club. As y'all know, next week on Dynamite is going to be Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Pure title, a rematch from Death Before Dishonor. And they had a hell of a match at Death Before Dishonor. Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta did. Those guys are good, young and up-and-coming talent who could really go in the ring. So that's going to be another great match that wrestling fans ain't going to want to miss out on the next week's episode of Dynamite. But it should be interesting to see what's to come about out of Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. But I'm picking Danielson to go over in that match, and I think Daniel Garcia is going to cause Jericho to lose that match. Anyways, moving along now. Then we got the ladder match, a casino ladder match to see who's this. It's like, I was going to say it's like their Money in the Bank ladder match, but it's not really, because they can't cash it in anytime they want. But whoever wins this casino battle ladder match at All Out is going to get a guaranteed world title shot. And this Hangman Adam Page won this match before, and then he got a match versus Kenny Omega at last year's Full Gear, and that's where he won the AEW World title off of Kenny Omega. So this could catapult whoever wins that ladder match to, potentially become next AEW World Champion. And there's a Joker, a wild card Joker in that match. There's been 7 wrestlers announced to participate in this casino ladder match. We got 2 members of the Blackpool Combat Club, the current ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, and the ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta. Then we got both the Lucha Bros, Penta Oscuro and Rey Fenix. Then we got Rush and Idolo. And then we got Dante Martin. Now, I don't know who the Joker is going to be. We got everybody who's a part of a team. It could be Dante Martin's brother to complete like that whole, each members of a team competing to, see who's going to potentially be a number 1 contender in the future. A lot of people are saying it's going to be MJF. A lot of people are saying, I heard it's going to be Samoa Joe, who's set to make his return soon. But who knows, man? I don't know, but I think the Joker is going to win. If it's MJF, then that's a good thing, because it puts him right where he left off at, and he was a main event caliber wrestler, one of the best things going for AEW. So if he wins this casino ladder match to become a number one contender, that would be a good look. But we'll see. But I'm picking the wild card to win this ladder match, and it should be one of the best matches on the card. It's a ladder match, that's always entertaining. And then we got some of the best in-ring competitors competing in this ladder match, so it should be a good one. Then we got the trios title match. We saw on last night's episode of Dynamite that the Elite has advanced on to the finals for this trios world title tournament, and I think they'll be taking on Dark Order. Yeah, I saw last night's episode of Dynamite 10 from Dark Order has been injured. I don't know if it's for real or if it's kayfabe, but he's not going to be competing on behalf of Dark Order in this trios tournament, and they're going to be facing Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends on Rampage tomorrow. But I think Dark Order is going to win and advance to the finals because 10's replacement is Hangman Adam Page, former world champion. Now I want to talk about that for a little bit. This AEW, man, they got such a stacked roster that a lot of its top talent get lost in the mix, and Hangman Adam Page has been one of those guys who's been lost in the mix. That's a former world champion who never got his rematch for the world title. After he lost to Punk, it's like they forgot about him. He hasn't been featured on TV, but this is a good way to get him back into AEW. As y'all know, he used to be a part of the Elite, former tag teammates with Kenny Omega, and he defeated Kenny Omega for the AEW world title, had a good lengthy run with the world title, and now for him to compete in this trios world title tournament, and if he advances on to the finals with the Dark Order, which is what I'm expecting, it would be a good look to get him in the mix with Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Dark Order. As y'all know, before the Young Bucks had introduced Kenny Omega as their teammate for this trios tournament, they had asked Hangman Adam Page to be their partner for this tournament after Hangman Adam Page made the save for the Young Bucks when the Undisputed had turned on the Young Bucks. And I think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks will come out on top and become the newly crowned AEW Trios champions, and I think they will get into a feud with the Undisputed. Now I'm gonna get into that in the later part of the video because some news broke out about AEW and the Undisputed, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. But if they don't feud with the Undisputed, because I don't think Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly has been clear to compete. Bobby Fish is the only guy that's not injured out of the Undisputed, so I don't know if they're going to continue on the feud with the Dark Order and the Elite. But they got a backstory because of Hangman Adam Page and the Elite and their history, so they can make something out of that. But I think that should be a good match. Obviously AEW prides itself on its high quality wrestling. It should be as far as the quality of wrestling goes, it should be good. AEW right now I think just got a problem when it comes to booking, because they got so many talent right now. Anyways, next matchup I'm gonna be giving my prediction towards is the AEW interim women's title match. It's gonna be a 4-way match. Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Toni Storm. It was originally supposed to be Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa announced that she had to relinquish the AEW Women's World title due to an injury. So now we have this 4-way interim Women's World title match. I think Toni Storm is gonna win this match, and I think she's gonna hold on to the interim Women's World Title until Thunder Rosa returns, and then they'll have a match between Thunderstorm to see who's gonna be the undisputed Women's World Champion. And all four of these women can definitely go in the ring, so it should be a good match. And I'm expecting Toni Storm to come out on top, and then the next women's match that's going to be featured on All Out is going to be for the TBS title, the undefeated Jade Cargill taking on Athena, and I'm expecting Jade Cargill to come out on top in this match. I think this will catapult Jade Cargill's momentum even higher after getting a win over a credible wrestler like Athena. And I don't think they're going to snap Jade Cargill's undefeated streak. So with that being said, I'm predicting that Jade Cargill will win this TBS Women's World Title match. Then we got the AEW Tag Team Title match. We got Swerve and Our Glory defending their tag team titles versus the Acclaimed. Now, this hasn't been built up whatsoever. I think ever since Swerve and Our Glory won the World Tag Team titles, they haven't been booked properly. They haven't been featured on AEW like that. They're always on Rampage. They're not having matches as much as they should. They haven't been putting in a lot of effort towards the AEW Tag Team titles. Now, AEW had introduced a trios title. They got the ROH titles, and then they introduced the Atlantic title not too long ago. Like, they got way too many titles and way too many talent for them to, have a well-structured booking. And I think Swerve in Our Glory should have been, featured a lot more. I know Tony Khan is really behind both Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, hence why they put the titles on Swerve in Our Glory, and the Young Bucks were just transitional champions. And yeah, but ever since they won the title, they haven't really been featured like that on AEW. And as far as the Acclaim goes, I've been liking their work with the Gun Club. They're homegrown tag team talents out of AEW. They're young and up and coming talents, and their program has been fun. And the Acclaimed are highly ranked tag teams in AEW. I thought maybe a 3-way tag team title match would have been better for All Out. For Swerve in Our Glory, the Gun Club, and the Acclaim, but it's going to be a regular tag team match between Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaim. I think this is a chance for the Acclaim to shine and show what they're really made of on a pay-per-view event. I think this is their first time challenging for the tag titles, so it's their chance to really shine, because the spotlight's going to be on them at a pay-per-view event, and it's going to be for the titles. But I'm expecting Swerve in Our Glory to come out on top, but hopefully the Acclaim really make it a good match between them and Swerve in Our Glory. But like I said, I'm predicting Swerve in Our Glory to win and retain the AEW Tag Team titles. And we got a trios match. It's 3 trios matches that's going to be featured on All Out. And it's not going to be for the trios title, because I already gave my predictions to that. The second trios match that's going to be on All Out is House of Black taking on the team of Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting. This has been built up somewhat alright. It hasn't really been featured on AEW TV like that. Miro, he's had beef with Malachi Black ever since the Atlantic title match at Forbidden Door. Miro looked like he had the title won, but Malachi Black spat black mist right in his eye, and that's how the beef between Malachi and Miro started. And then Darby Allin and Brody King had a rivalry ever since Brody King won that Rampage Battle Royal to become the number 1 contender, and he eliminated Darby Allin to win that match. And they had a good lengthy rivalry, Brody King and Darby Allin did. And Sting, who is Darby Allin's mentor, he had made the save with Darby Allin when he was getting jumped by House of Black, and then he's had beef with Malachi for the same reason why Miro had the beef with Malachi, and that's because Malachi spat that black mist into Sting's eye, and now that led into this trios match for this Sunday's All Out. I'm expecting House of Black to win this match. I think that's the right move because House of Black is actually a trio. I think Miro, unfortunately, is one of those guys that's kind of lost in the mix right now. He recently made his return like a few months ago to AEW. But it looks like they don't really have a lot going for Miro. But yeah, I think the right move is to have the actual group, House of Black, come out on top in this match. And then the next trios match, this should be a good matchup. We got the TNT champion Wardlow and FTR, former stablemates from the group Pinnacle, taking on Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City Machine Guns, they're from Impact Wrestling. They're veterans, one of the best in-ring competitors, and they have been that for a long time. And Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns, their relationships go all the way back to Impact Wrestling days, where Jay Lethal was doing this thing over there at Impact, and Motor City Machine Guns will be making their AEW debut at All Out this Sunday. I'm expecting Wardlow and FTR to come out on top in this match. I don't think a one-time show like Motor City Machine Guns, because they're with Impact and they're making this they're making their AEW debut on behalf of Impact Wrestling, teaming with Jay Lethal to make it a great match for this trios match. But I think they're going to go with FTR, who's on a great momentum right now. They have all the gold except for the AEW tag team titles. They got the IWGP, the AAA, and the ROH tag team titles. And Wardlow, who recently won the TNT title, I don't think they want any of the momentum to slow down for any of those three guys right now. So I'm expecting FTR and Wardlow to come out on top in this trios match, but this should be one of the best matchups on the card for Sunday's All Out. The next matchup on the card is one of the best built-up matchups heading into All Out, and that is Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. As y'all know, Christian Cage turned heel a few months ago after attacking Jungle Boy following Jurassic Express's loss to the Young Bucks in that tag team title ladder match. And Christian Cage, before he actually turned heel, he's been hinting that he was going to turn heel by throwing slick comments towards Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus before that actual heel turn. And then when he actually turned heel by attacking Jungle Boy, he showed that he hasn't lost touch when it comes to the mic work. He hasn't been on a run like this since he introduced that Captain Charisma gimmick back in 03 and 03 and 05. Christian showed that he's a great singles competitor and he could hang in there with some of the best. We all know what he's capable of in the ring, but I think his promo cutting ability is one of the best, and he's been showing that ever since he turned heel on AEW. And Jungle Boy, he's also been showing that he could cut promos, and we'll see what he's capable of as a singles competitor. We all know he could go in the ring as well, and this matchup should be decent. It's not going to be the best quality matchup when it comes to wrestling, but storyline wise, it's one of the best matchups heading towards All Out. And the right way to book it, I think, is to have Jungle Boy come out on top, because he is the younger talent and Christian Cage is a veteran in this rivalry. So I think Jungle Boy should win this match. Then the next matchup is also one of the best matchups as far as storylines go, and that is Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks, former teammates as well. We saw Powerhouse Hobbs after Ricky Starks lost the FTW title to Hook. Powerhouse Hobbs turned on Ricky Starks when Ricky Starks gave a post-match interview. Powerhouse Hobbs gave him a beatdown. And Powerhouse Hobbs, I think as a singles competitor, could go a long way if you push him as this monstrous heel. And as far as Ricky Starks goes, he's got the looks, he's got the charisma, he's got the in-ring ability, and he's also got the promo skills as well for him to really be a superstar. And this matchup, like I said, has been built well. I think it should be featured more on their programs, whether it be Dynamite or Rampage. I thought they should put more of a effort into featuring this rivalry between Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. But storyline wise, it's been built well. It just hasn't been featured enough, and the matchup should be good. They're both young and up and coming talent, and I think Powerhouse Hobbs will come out on top in this match. I think he will win this match between him and Ricky Starks. And yeah, that's my predictions for this Sunday's AEW All Out. And the preliminaries, that's gonna be on free. I was gonna say on free TV, but on social media, like whether it be Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, y'all just gotta go on AEW's fan page, and then y'all could go catch the preliminary matches. You got the Atlantic title match. I think this should be on pay-per-view because it's going to be a hell of a match. We got Kip Sabian versus Pac for the Atlantic title. Then we got Ishii versus Eddie Kingston. Originally, it was supposed to be Kingston versus Guevara, but I think Guevara is having some political issues backstage. A lot of people are saying, they're not liking the attitude of Sammy Guevara, so that's why Eddie Kingston will not be taking on Guevara. Instead, he'll be taking on Ishii from New Japan. And then we got Hook versus Angelo Parker for the FTW title. So that is a good prelim card right there for All Out. So y'all not going to want to miss that if y'all really wrestling fans. Anyways, now let's shift gears towards WWE. We got Clash at the Castle this Saturday from Cardiff, Wales. There's 6 matches announced so far. We have obviously the main event, Drew McIntyre. He's not Welsh, he's Scottish, and he'll be challenging for the undisputed WWE Universal title versus Roman Reigns. And I'll be talking about that match first. Yeah, we'll start with the main event. I'm expecting Roman Reigns to come out on top and continue his reign. I don't think Drew McIntyre has a momentum. I know he won that number 1 contender spot by defeating Sheamus on the Go Home episode of SmackDown before SummerSlam. And Drew McIntyre, he's been holding it down as far as the top guy that's there full time. Roman Reigns has become a part-time wrestler, part-time superstar ever since WrestleMania. Or actually before that, because he would show up here and there on SmackDown when he only did have 1 title. But yeah, Drew McIntyre, he does deserve a big moment. As y'all know, at WrestleMania 36, he won the WWE title from Goldberg, but it didn't happen in front of a live audience. He won the Royal Rumble in 2020, and then the pandemic happened, so he couldn't get that big WrestleMania moment. So a lot of people are saying they can make up for that in Wales, that's close to Scotland. That would be a very feel-good moment for Drew McIntyre. And I thought WWE has done a hell of a job at building up this matchup. And yeah, Drew McIntyre is looking like the underdog. He's been trying to fight off the bloodline and defending for himself, and they've really promoted him to look like a legit number 1 contender, which he is. And it would be good to have a full-time undisputed WWE Universal Champion, but I think the momentum isn't really swinging towards Drew McIntyre's favor, and I think they probably want to have Roman Reigns as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion all the way to WrestleMania. Like, you really need a great amount of momentum to take off the title off of Roman Reigns, who's been champion for almost 800 days now. And a lot of people, were speculating that Roman Reigns might only leave with one title. I don't see how, because it's for the undisputed WWE Universal title. It doesn't say on the Money in the Bank contract. At least I don't think that, it says, oh, Theory can only cash in for one of the titles unless, they make up some rule like that. But no, we'll see. I'm expecting Roman Reigns to walk out of Clash at the Castle as still the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. I don't think Theory will cash in the Money in the Bank that night, nor do I think Drew McIntyre will win, even though, I think Drew McIntyre definitely does deserve that, big stadium moment where he wins the world title in front of a live audience, which was stolen from him at WrestleMania. But I don't think it would be the right booking to have McIntyre defeat Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle. It seems like the perfect place, and it seems like it would be the right feel good thing to do, but the timing is off. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. A lot of people are expecting Bray Wyatt to return at Clash at the Castle. There's been hints on Raw that The Fiend might return, but I don't think so. If Bray Wyatt does, attack Roman Reigns after the match between Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, The Fiend don't have a Money in the Bank contract, so it's not like he could walk out of Clash at the Castle as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Only Theory can do that. But we'll see, though. But as far as the world title match between Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns goes, I'm expecting Roman Reigns to win that match. And then we got the Judgment Day taking on the team of Edge and Rey Mysterio. Edge and Rey Mysterio, former tag team champions. They were tag team champions back in 2002. They're veterans holding it down in the WWE right now. Got Rhea Ripley in the corner of Judgment Day. We got Dominic Mysterio in the corner of Rey Mysterio and Edge. I'm expecting Judgment Day to win because they're the legit tag team. It might be some foul play involved. The shocking thing to do for the WWE to, hit the fans with shock value would be to have Dominic Mysterio turn heel and join the Judgment Day, and that could cause Edge and Rey to lose to the Judgment Day. But regardless of that, I'm expecting Judgment Day to win this tag team match. And then we got the 6 women's tag team match. Bianca Belair, the current Raw Women's Champion, teaming up with Alexa Bliss and Asuka to take on, I think their team name is Control, and that's Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. I was surprised as shit that Dakota Kai and Io Sky lost that women's tag team title tournament finals. We got Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez as the new current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez. That's like a randomly put tag team, and they're the tag team champions though. And we didn't see Sasha Banks and Naomi, the former Women's Tag Team Champions who never lost the tag team titles, make their return like a lot of the fans were expecting, because it was rumored that those girls were supposed to return. But yeah, Io Sky and Dakota Kai were the favorites to walk out of Raw as the Women's Tag Team Champions, but WWE Creative threw us a curveball, and Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah are the Tag Team Champions. And I guess, that kind of intensified the rivalry between Asuka, Alexa Bliss, and Bianca Belair and the Control, because Bianca Belair and they somewhat distracted Io Sky and Dakota Kai to lose that tag team tournament finals on the last episode of Raw. But I'm expecting the legit team to win, and that's Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai, because Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss had to join forces to even out the odds versus Bayley and them. So I'm expecting Bailey and them to win that match, and then the next women's match that's going to be featured at the Clash at the Castle is going to be for the SmackDown Women's title, and that is Liv Morgan taking on Shayna Baszler. I'm expecting Liv Morgan to win that match because she just became the SmackDown Women's Champion at Money in the Bank when she successfully cashed in her Money in the Bank contract right after the same night that she won that Money in the Bank contract. She cashed it in on Ronda Rousey, and the only legit win she got as a SmackDown Women's Champion was when she defended it versus Natalya on an episode of SmackDown not too long ago. Then she had a controversial win versus Ronda Rousey. That's why Ronda Rousey has been, causing a storm on SmackDown, has been causing ruckus on SmackDown because, she felt like she was cheated out of a win at SummerSlam versus Liv Morgan. And now Shayna Baszler, former trainee, former teammate of Ronda Rousey, she's going to be challenging for the SmackDown Women's title. Now that's a good look because Shayna Baszler is one of the best in-ring workers in WWE right now as far as the women's division goes, and she's been misutilized ever since she got the call up from NXT, and I think she had one of the longest reigns as the NXT Women's Champion, and she could definitely go in the ring like I said. And as far as this matchup goes, it should be a good match, but like I said, Liv Morgan, I'm expecting her to retain the SmackDown Women's title. Then we got the Intercontinental title on the line. Gunther will be defending it versus Sheamus. Now this should be a very physical match. It should be probably the best matchup on the card, to be honest with you. And Gunther, I think to have a win over Sheamus, it would make him a very credible Intercontinental Champion, which is what the WWE is pushing right now. This will be the first time the Intercontinental title is going to be defended on a pay-per-view ever since WrestleMania 37. Think about that. Now, I gotta, salute Triple H for actually featuring the Intercontinental title on a pay-per-view. Now, ever since Bobby Lashley and Gunther became the mid-card champions, they put a lot of effort into bringing prestige back into both the U.S. and the Intercontinental titles. And boy, Gunther versus Sheamus, like I said, it should be the best matchup on the card. And to make Gunther even look more credible than he already is to have him go over Sheamus this Saturday at Clash at the Castle. The next matchup on the card is Riddle versus Seth Rollins. Now this has been one of the best built up matches heading towards Clash at the Castle. They were originally supposed to face each other at SummerSlam, but Riddle got kayfabe injured after Rollins attacked him on a Raw before SummerSlam. Then at SummerSlam, Riddle came out, and despite what the WWE backstage crew and the staff were telling him, because he was kayfabe injured and he wasn't clear to compete, Riddle came out and said, like his bro Randy Orton told him, never back down. He called out Rollins because he's upset that, Rollins injured him, and they had a little brawl at SummerSlam. Obviously, WWE knew that, they didn't have the time slot for that match to happen. So here we are at the Clash at the Castle, Riddle versus Rollins, and I like the build-up they've been building for Riddle versus Rollins at Clash at the Castle. They've been at each other's throats every week, and if y'all saw the last episode of Raw, they had a via satellite face-off because, they can't be in each other's presence, because anytime they in each other's presence, they start brawling and shit. And yeah, so they had this FaceTime face-off between Rollins and Riddle, and they had a personal, intense promo, and that intensified this rivalry. And we all know these two can work in the ring, and I'm expecting Riddle to go over because Rollins has been getting the best of Riddle for the most part leading into this match. Anyways, those are my predictions for WWE Saturday's Clash at the Castle. Moving along, I'm going to be talking about NXT's Worlds Collide. Now, I haven't really been tapping into NXT 2.0 like that, but Worlds Collide looks like they got a a good card heading into their event Sunday. You got the NXT champion Braun Breaker taking on the NXT UK champion Tyler Bate in a unification title bout to see who's going to become the undisputed NXT champion. As y'all know, it was announced not too long ago, actually a few weeks ago, that NXT UK is no longer going to be a thing. So that's why we have this undisputed title match at Worlds Collide. Braun Breaker, I'm a fan of this guy. I think, he's going to be one of the best talents in the future for the WWE. And Tyler Bate, we all know he's one of the best in-ring competitors currently in WWE right now. And I don't know, I forgot the name of the NXT UK champion that had to vacate the title due to an injury. That's the dude that defeated Walter for the NXT UK title. And ever since he relinquished that title, Tyler Bate, I think, won a tournament to become the new NXT UK champion. It's like Braun Breaker's a powerhouse. Tyler Bates got that strong style, and there's a difference in size between the two, but it's gonna be a hard-hitting physical matchup, and it should be a good main event come Sunday for Worlds Collide. And I think Braun Breaker is going to come out on top to become the undisputed NXT champion. Then we got the NXT North American Championship. We have the current NXT North American champion, Carmelo Hayes. He will be defending his NXT North American title versus the former NXT North American champion, Ricochet. Ricochet, he's a part of the main roster. Former Intercontinental champion, former United States champion. He's one of the best in-ring competitors currently active in the WWE right now. Carmelo Hayes, he's going to be a future major player for the WWE. Then Carmelo Hayes right now, he's on a hot streak, and to build his momentum and to keep his momentum going, I think to have a win over somebody in the main roster, a decorated mid-card champion like Ricochet, I think that win would definitely be a good look for Carmelo Hayes, and I'm predicting that Carmelo Hayes will come out on top and retain his NXT North American title. And then we got a triple threat match in a undisputed NXT Women's title match. We got the NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose, who's been champion for like over 300 days. She will be taking on the NXT UK Women's Champion, Meiko Satomura, and Davin Blairport, I think, is the third girl in this triple threat match. Now, I ain't gonna cap, like, I'm not tapped in with NXT UK at all. I know when they first introduced NXT UK, I heard the tournament was fire, and we saw some of the best WWE wrestling from that NXT UK titles tournament. But ever since it became a program, I have not watched a single episode or a single clip from NXT UK. I might have seen highlights here and there, but I was never really tapped in with NXT UK like that. So I'm not sure as far as Satomura and Davin Blairport, as far as their work goes, but I heard they're some incredible workers in the ring. And as far as Mandy Rose goes, she's got the looks, she's got the charisma, she's got the mic work ability, and her in-ring abilities getting better, and she's had a dominant reign, a lengthy reign as the NXT Women's Champion. I think, the right move is to have, somebody like Satomura become the undisputed NXT Women's Champion to end the dominant reign of Mandy Rose, and then to have Mandy Rose chase for that undisputed NXT Women's title would be a good look. So I'm expecting the NXT UK's Women's Champion to come out on top in this triple threat match for the undisputed NXT Women's title. The NXT Women's Tag Team titles, we got Katana Chance and Kaden Carter defending their tag titles versus Nikki Ash and Doudrop. I think the NXT Women's Tag Team champions are going to retain their tag team titles. Now, I know that Kaden Carter and Katana Chance won their tag titles from what's their name? Toxic Attraction. I know it's Gina Donlin, and I forgot the other girl's name. No disrespect, but Toxic Attraction, they're like they're like the bloodline of NXT and the women's division right now. Well, I mean, the women's division on the main roster, they got a new team there, but Toxic Attraction, they've been holding it down for NXT in the women's division. Like I said, Mandy Rose been champion for like 300 some days, and Toxic Attraction been tag team champions for a while, I think, and Katana Chance and Kaden Carter won the tag team titles from them, and I think they won it not too long ago. So I think this is to build their momentum up by defeating two women on the main roster, and it will be a good look for them. So yeah, I'm expecting them to retain. And then we got the four-way match for the undisputed NXT tag team titles. The Creed brothers taking on Pretty Deadly and the NXT UK tag team champions, Brooke Jansen and Josh Briggs, and Gallus. Now, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Gallus's work or Josh Briggs and Brooke Jansen. I seen the clip on a WWE YouTube page from NXT 2.0. They made their NXT 2.0 debut like a few weeks ago. They could compete, and Creed brothers, they can go as well. And as far as Pretty Deadly goes, they in-ring abilities is impressive as well. And yeah, this should be a good, fun four-way match for the undisputed NXT tag team titles. I'm expecting the Creed brothers to win this match and become undisputed NXT tag team champions. And those are my predictions for NXT Worlds Collide. And moving along to the next topic. Braun Strowman is rumored to return to Monday Night Raw following Clash at the Castle. Braun Strowman, we haven't seen him ever since after WrestleMania 37, where he defeated Shane McMahon. He's a former WWE Universal Champion. He had the chance to main event WrestleMania, but like Drew McIntyre, he didn't get to perform at a main event in front of a live audience for a WrestleMania. Or a SummerSlam as well. Y'all remember he won the WWE Universal title, I think from Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania or something like that. Like, I wasn't paying no attention to wrestling like that at all during them times. So like my information ain't gonna be like all up to par. But Braun Strowman, they were really behind this guy. He feuded with, some of the top names when he was in the WWE. Then after he got released after WrestleMania 37, he was on ROH, and he was tagging along with EC3, and then he was on CYN. And then now, since Triple H is ahead of creative, he's been bringing back a lot of, old released talents. And Braun Strowman, his in-ring ability for somebody of his stature, he could go. He's got charisma. His mic skills are up there. And yeah, hopefully, if he does return to the WWE like rumored to be, hopefully he showed signs of improvement as far as his mic skills, his mic work, his in-ring ability, and all that goes. And hopefully he gets put in the right programs for him to shine when the spotlight is on him. And hopefully he has a better run than he did when Vince was running things creatively in the WWE. But I know Vince was behind this guy, so it was a surprise to a lot of people when Braun Strowman got the boot. And when he comes back to the WWE, or if he comes back to the WWE, this will be a second shot at redemption for Braun Strowman. And hopefully, he shows different this time, that he could do better than the first in the second run in the WWE. But we'll just have to wait and see. Then the next topic, instead of a rumor of somebody getting rehired, it's about somebody possibly leaving a promotion, and that is Bobby Fish. It's been rumored on wrestling sites that Bobby Fish is no longer going to be with AEW. There's talks of AEW possibly releasing him in the near future, or him not agreeing to re-sign with AEW. As y'all know, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly both signed to AEW long term, and Bobby Fish, who's in a group with them, the Undisputed, and they recently turned on the Young Bucks. And I was talking about in my All Out predictions that the next feud for the trios title should be between the Elite and the Undisputed. And with Bobby Fish not being there, and with AEW no longer being interested in Bobby Fish, how is that going to go? And what is Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly going to do? Are they going to be tag teams? I thought Adam Cole was the single star out of the Undisputed, and the Red Dragons were chasing after the tag team titles. And with the trios titles being introduced to AEW now, like, the next big trios group is the Undisputed. Like, that's the feud that all fans want to see from AEW for the trios title, is a feud between the Elite and Undisputed. Now, Bobby Fish, I guess, I heard, I didn't even know he had a podcast. But fans were saying that on his podcast, he let his frustrations be known that, he's not being featured enough on AEW TV. He's not getting enough matches. He's not injured, but he's sitting out with his teammates. And he's not liking how things are being booked. And he's one of those guys that's been lost in the mix amongst all the talent that AEW has. And they just don't have enough shows to have each wrestler in a worthy wild feud. And Bobby Fish is a key member of the Undisputed. Now the Undisputed Era, they probably are the GOAT group when it comes to NXT. And Roderick Strong is the only guy that's left in the WWE that were a part of the Undisputed Era. Now, if or when Bobby Fish does not re-sign or gets released by AEW, is he going to join Roderick Strong in AEW? Or not AEW, pardon me, in WWE? I know Bobby Fish, everybody in the Undisputed Era got along really well with Triple H. And Triple H was really behind the Undisputed Era. And Roderick Strong hasn't made it to the main roster yet. He's still doing this thing over there in NXT with Diamond Mine. He's mentoring what's his name? Damon Kemp, Gabe Stevenson's brother, and the Creed brothers right now. If Bobby Fish, who's 45 years old, if he does sign with WWE, are they going to have him paired with Roderick Strong? Is he going to get the call to the main roster? There's talks of him possibly being a trainer for the WWE. He could train up-and-coming new talent over there in the developmental areas in NXT or WWE. He could work backstage with them. Or will he be an active wrestler? I don't know. What y'all make of this? What y'all make of all the things I talked about here on Talk Wrestling, episode number 4? Y'all let me know in the comments. Subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And I'm out of here, y'all. Peace.